guys that get a lot of credit is Steve Blackman for muscular development. I mean, those guys have done an extraordinary job for years and years and years to promote health, to promote fitness, to promote strength, to promote bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, and all of those kind of things. So the contributions they made is gigantic, and I hail them for that.
We have press passes this time. I'm going to make note of that.
Well, I haven't.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't. It's going to get that. At the Olympia.
Oh my God.
We did. You were there. You remember what it was like. Ron Harris here from MuscularDevelopment.com, joined by Giles, Tiger, Thomas, all the way from the United Kingdom, which I believe is across the Atlantic Ocean. Anyway, we're here covering the Arnold Classic Sports Festival weekend, courtesy of High Tech Pharmaceuticals, and we have just finished up the meet and greet here. We got some great interviews. You guys got to check out. Giles got a bunch. I got a bunch. Got all the heavy hitters on there, so check that out. But right now we're going to talk about the show coming up this weekend. This is one of the most packed and stacked Arnold Classic lineups ever. We have so many guys to talk about. So let's get moving here. We're going to go one by one. The Open, we're going to start off with Lionel Baeki from France. Very impressive last year. I know you've been following Lionel for quite some time. How do you think Lionel might do at this thing?
It's make or break for him this year, isn't it, really? Because, I mean, last year at the Olympia, I mean, it was just kind of like it just didn't go for him, really. It didn't, he's one of these hit and miss guys. He has to turn up in condition or he doesn't get looked at. But, when that guy gets it and when he gets it right, he is so good. But I think time's slipping on now, and if he doesn't pull it out the bag now, I think people are going to start to... like on the forum and on the MD forum, there's still a lot of love for Baeki. Yeah. They say once this guy gets it together, but he hasn't got it together for the last few shows, so he really needs to pull it out the bag for this show.
I mean, the fans are only going to hang on and so long and say, if he ever gets this together. But I agree with you. This is what make or break for him. Okay, next up, William Bonac. This guy is definitely a favorite to win. He was third place at the Olympia. So the only people that beat him at the Olympia were Phil Heath and Big Ramy, neither of which is here today. Bonac, definitely a favorite. I know you've been following Bonac since the very, very early days before any of us over here had a clue who he was. Yeah. Talk to me about William Bonac this weekend.
Well, how far do you want to go back? I mean, 2010, I put him in my MD column. I put him in again in 2011, 2012. 2012, he was a 212. Yeah. He was very good. I thought he had a raw deal in some of the shows there. I think he should have beat some of the bigger names at that show. Moved up to the Open. His placings have been 13th, 8th, 5th, 3rd. Yeah. And I think arguably every year that he's had those placings, I think people have always complained that he should have been placed higher. Right. So, I mean, 2016 he was 5th. I had him 2nd. Last year could have been 2nd. Yeah. An argument for 1st with Phil. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. I'm a big Bonac fan. I know a lot of people say maybe he's too short, but at the end of the day, a good physique's a good physique no matter what height. He's only an inch shorter than Dexter, and Dexter's won the Olympia. Right. So for me, we did the preview on Runline, what was it, a few weeks ago now, a couple of months ago, yeah. And I said, I've got a feeling this is going to be the Bonac versus Dexter show, and I still stand by that.
Right on. Okay, next up we have Max Charles from New York. Max, big guy, gets in great shape. He's going to have a little tougher time because this lineup is a very tough lineup, but, do you think he might pull out a top 5 finish?
He's one of those guys that could place top 60. He got 3rd place here last year. Yeah. He came 2nd at Tampa, which we were at, to Jocelyn Artowicz. Yeah, I said it right. And I was actually more impressed when I saw him in the flesh. Saw him at the Olympia. I also saw him at the Arnold Europe. Did I see him at the Arnold Europe? Yeah, I saw him at the Arnold Europe, yeah. And he does have a beautiful physique, but this is a very, very tough Arnold. He is not going to be making top 3, I'm sorry, this year, because basically apart from Ramy, Roden obviously pulling out, and then Phil Heath, you've got the Olympia lineup. This is the best Arnold lineup since 1996.
Wow.
Let's be honest.
It's going back a ways.
1996, I'll give you the placings if you want.
No. This guy's he's in a walking encyclopedia. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Bonac, yeah, for me, all eyes are going to be on Bonac now, and I think I've seen a couple of pictures, and I know sometimes, he is I'm hoping he still has that beautiful taper to his physique, because sometimes you can get one bad picture where they kind of look a bit straight up and down, and I'm hoping it was just one bad picture, because he is a shorter guy. He's like 5'6". He's got to be careful that he does keep that. Yeah, the taper. If he loses that, then he will start to slip, and I don't know what he can really do. But if he's kept that taper and he's kept that small waist and that the V shape, then I think he's probably going to be the favourite.
So next up, a guy who's done several Arnolds, but never the Arnold, Ohio, New York's Jonathan De La Rosa. Big fan of Jonathan. This guy's got amazing muscle thickness, tremendous shape, tiny waist. The only issue he's had, in my eyes, at the shows I've been to, is not the crispest condition, doesn't get that dry look. But I think if he could pull that out, he might be someone who surprises all of us this weekend.
Yeah, John De La Rosa is actually one of my favourite pros. Yeah. I really love his physique. When he does his front double bicep, it reminds me of the trophies.
Yeah.
Like the exaggerated cartoon, like, the structure and the way the lats flare out. And I love his physique, and it's like he said, I have seen him come in with shredded glutes, but I sometimes think it could be harder. I think I saw some pictures and I recognised the background. It was one of the Europa shows, and he looked perfect there. So he can get real crisp conditioning. But what it is, those guys that are so big, they've got so much muscle. He's one of those guys. So 6 to 8. I think that's going to be a good place. That's like take out 3 guys. You've got the Olympia lineup. So 6 to 8 that's like top. That's like saying he's top 10 Olympia.
Right.
Like one of the best in the world. So. For me, De La Rosa, I just want to see him on.
Okay. Next up, 5-time Arnold Classic champion, the winningest pro bodybuilder ever, former Mr. Olympia, Dexter Jackson. It's Dexter's show to lose, basically. Bonac can push him, sure, but I'm not going to be the least bit surprised Saturday night if he's standing there with Arnold. Would you?
Yeah. So with Dexter, though, every year, it's like, is he going to start to slip? He's 49 now. Is he going to start to slip?
48, same age as me. How dare you? Okay.
28, sorry. It's like, I was here in 2012 when he did start to slip. He slipped down to 5th place, and you could see his physique was starting to, go backwards after winning the Olympia in 2008. And then he came back the following year, and arguably it wasn't the toughest lineup, and he won it. And then, like I said, the Masters Olympia in 2012, and it's like, he kind of did this, and then we thought he was all just going to do that because he was over 40, and everyone kind of thinks if you're over 40, you're gonna fade away. And then he kind of came back up, and he's managed to maintain that, and I'm so impressed by that. So, Dexter. Dexter. I don't know what to say really.
Giles, are you 40 yet?
40.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Just had it clear because we're talking about being over 40 here. Steve Kuklo. We have not seen Steve Kuklo on a stage in about a year and a half. Steve's won other Arnold Classics. He's yet to win a show of this caliber. I'm trying to take a look. I was trying to look and see how he looked in his Instagram and standing over there. Obviously, we're not going to know until he gets on stage. But do you think in your eyes he's somebody that could surprise us?
I don't think he'd have come back if he wasn't going to bring something unique. And I have seen loads of pictures, and I know pictures in gyms, everyone can look amazing, but he was kind of like penned as the next Jay Cutler, really, because he had the structure, the kind of the nice symmetry, the good-looking guy, is marketable, and then he kind of he was going to the Olympias and getting 13th place and 12th, and then I thought, oh, that's it, he's done, he stopped competing, he's not going to come back, but he's back. So. I just, like I said, he's like John De La Rosa. I just want to see him coming on, because he's one of these guys. He's got a beautiful shape, beautiful physique, lovely structure, but he just needs to have that detail. So if he's got that, then he's going to do himself proud.
Next up, we're talking about Cedric McMillan, who 1 year ago won this show. Looked fantastic. Yeah, where he's over there somewhere. But it was a different lineup. We did not have a lot of the big names in the show last year that we do this year. Cedric looked great, but condition-wise, he's never brought that to the big shows, to the Arnold Olympia. I believe San Marino was where he pulled out all the stops and looked fantastic. If he could look like that this Saturday, what could happen?
If he looks like San Marino, he'll be top 3. I could. Yeah, because we were at the me and Rosie were at the airport coming back, and he was on our flight going back to London. He had a layover in London, so we had like 30, 40 minutes talking to him. And I said, how did you manage to pull it out the bag after the Olympia, and how you looked? And he said, I prepped myself. He said, He said, what I did, I went back to basics. I went back to my old journals from when I was an amateur, which is 10 years ago. Yeah. He said I dug it, blew all the dust off, and yeah, he said I just went back, and he said, and I just had someone to look at me who I trusted, and it was just Groundhog Day, I just went back to basics. He said, and there was he said he felt less pressure coming into the show, and sometimes when athletes have less pressure going into a show, how many times have you seen guys, certain bodybuilders look great at qualifiers, and they turn up to the Olympia, they get overwhelmed, they think they have to do things differently, and Cedric was kind of going into this one as, he had Hadi, and Hadi had Hadi Chupin and Brandon Curry, so, and obviously Brandon beat him the week before. But yeah, I mean, you and me were huge Cedric fans. Yeah. I mean, we just, we love the guy. He's, beautiful physique, structure. He's kind of, with the emergence of the classic bodybuilding, he embodies classic bodybuilding in the open bodybuilding. So what's not to like about Cedric?
And he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, he just stuck with the youth work. We're actually going to go out and see him in the summer, and we're going to do some stuff with him. Yeah, and we're actually seeing him in a few weeks. Actually, he's coming up to UK to do a bit of like a UK tour. So we're going to go down and see him, spend some time with him. I'm hoping we can get him to come and stay as well. But anyway, Cedric. Yeah, I mean, I think it takes real balls coming into the show, even as the defending champion, because he was, like you said, at the Olympia. He had a tough year last year. He did the Arnold. He won the Arnold. Yeah. He went to the Olympia. He didn't really come off his diet. So that guy was prepping all year, and then he's gone straight into the prep for this one. Who knows?
San Marino, was that December?
That was November.
Late November, yeah.
Yeah. But he looked sensational. He looked fantastic. I mean, but Hadi pushed him, man. Really pushed him.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So next up from the Czech Republic, former 212 competitor Lucas Osladl, who, one thing this guy is consistent with condition. I don't think I've ever seen him anything less than just shredded inside out. Could that be enough to help him? Because this is some big dudes he's up against.
It's the Arnold Classic. Sometimes I think, like say he gets 9th, 10th, 11th or whatever, that's not going to be a slight on him, because it's not like he's messing up his condition and getting last place or something. The guy is going to be shredded. I mean, there's something to be said for these guys that are so consistent with it's almost like you take them for granted, like, oh, that's Lucas, he's always shredded. Right. And then there's like the guys in the top 3 who aren't shredded, and they've, they're watery and they've got bellies, and, and this Lucas, he's very consistent. When he was a 212, he's consistently improved, and he does actually have quite he doesn't have a bad structure either. So, yeah, it's tough when you got one of the kind of the second or third tier guys, but he didn't. I mean, we saw him at the Olympia. He didn't look out of place, did he?
No, not at all. Considering he's giving up anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds to most of these guys, he does hold his own.
Small. He's about 230, 240.
Right. We also have a guy from Poland, Paul Poleksik. I've seen some pictures. Looks good, but this is a rough show to jump into when you don't have the experience.
He's German.
I believe he's from Poland. But anyway, moving on to Justin Rodriguez, who was known as Luis Rodriguez last year. Yeah. I had no idea really who he was until the New York Pro last May. I watched him in the call-outs, and he ended up 4th. I could have had him as high as 2nd. Oh, wow. It's fantastic shape, symmetry, great taper. And I interviewed him about an hour ago here with his coach, Abdullah from Oxygen Gym in Kuwait. Oh, wow. And guess what? He's up 25 pounds. So, and Abdullah showed me some pictures on his phone. This guy, the condition is still there, but he's much larger now. Have you been following this guy at all?
Well, I posted a picture on the MD forum. Was it last week? And he was in the laundry room doing a side tricep at home, and yeah, his arms was ridiculous. But when you say guys put 25 pounds on, that could be because their body was ready to grow, or it could be 25 pounds, it isn't going to the right places. Yeah. I looked at pictures from the New York Pro, he had a beautiful peak to his biceps, and the frontal bicep was it was...
It's tiny waist.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah. But, I remember thinking he maybe needed a bit more legs, so if that 25 pounds has gone to his legs, and he's keeping that waist nice and small, then, like Steve said, he could be a sleeper.
Yeah. Next up, Fred Smalls, who's no slouch in the size department, great size, great shape, one of the best posers in the game. Obviously this is going to be a tough show with this lineup. I don't know. I hope we're the best for him. Condition-wise, when he comes in condition, I think he can hang with the top guys. But we'll see what happens. comments on Fred?
He's not missing anything, is he? He's very complete. He's almost like some of the 212 guys, where they're very compact and complete. But he's obviously a little bit taller. I saw him at the Arnold Europe last year, and I think he did get like top 10, and that was a really big. That was like a lot of competitors, a lot of good depth. And like you said, his posing's good. He's a popular competitor. He's probably he probably get a great reception. There's someone he could probably. I know he could sneak in the top 10.
So the Dutch Beast is next, Rolly Winkler. Hey, a lot of people make it seem like this is a two-man show between Dexter and Bonac, but as you pointed out to me a few minutes ago talking, he actually beat both of them in one of the final shows of last season in Prague. You were there, you saw it.
I didn't go to Prague.
Oh, you didn't go. Well, anyway, he beat him, so he's capable, certainly when he's in condition. And the photos I've been seeing, obviously, like you said, gym lighting and this and that, but he looks like he's on his game, and he's enormous. He's almost 280, and I don't know if he's even 5'8". So he's just, Dutch Beast is quite apt in describing this man.
He's almost indescribable, Rolly, because he's really the last of what I call the real super freaks. And I mean that over even Rami. Because Rami takes up a lot of room, but in terms of freaky muscle bellies, Rolly, and things with Rolly, like I remember when Rolly first went to QA and he put like 30 pounds on, and for me his physique I felt like his physique got ruined. Yeah. Went to the Finland show, he won it, and I looked at the photos, I went, oh, what have they done to him? And then he came back at the 2016 the British Body Power Pro, and one of my European friends, he says, look, I've heard he's made the step up with his physique. He said, but he's kept the waist small. I said, it's not possible to bring that kind of, I said, it's not possible to come in bigger and keep the waist small. He's just going to be a bigger version with a big stomach.
Right.
And then he came out, and he actually came down to the pose down, and I took a photo of him. And like I was saying to you guys earlier on, it looks like the picture's been photoshopped, but it's on my phone. I took it.
Yes.
And but his waist was like, I don't know. I interviewed Nathan earlier, Nathan Diath, Rolly's training partner, and it really is. It's like, I said, what is your secret? How are you guys doing this? And he said, no, if you're smart, you can address that. But anyway, 278, and I tell you what, if the MD forums are anything to go by, there is a lot of love for Rolly. I've never seen so much. There was a lot of expectation on Rolly, and I've got a feeling, and I think a lot of people want it to happen. I think he may move ahead some of maybe like the guys he hasn't consistently beat, like Dexter, maybe Bonac, Cedric, the guys that he's, So for me, he's probably, you say Bonac versus Dexter, but I'm telling you, Rolly is potentially the one to cause the upset and win it.
Talking about the MD Forum, there's a guy named Michael Edwards. Michael, you're getting a special shout out, so keep posting. We appreciate it. He's a big fan of Dennis Wolf. He's been saying for months. He's been saying for months and months Dennis is going to win the show. So we haven't seen Dennis on a stage. Yeah, there he is.
Talking to Mayor bodybuilding.
No, we don't need to pan over.
Dennis
But so he won the show 4 years ago, but we haven't seen him on a stage since fall of 2015, I believe. Yeah, he missed 2016, 2017. Very serious neck injury. Giles did an interview with him. You can check that out. Hopefully he talked about the neck injury. But I don't know how he's looking. It's very hard to gauge by pictures online, even the posing. Have you been able to really get a grasp of how he's looking compared to his previous best?
It's tough because I think the thing with this, I think it's, especially coming back from a major injury, I think it's a step-by-step process. I think it's really brave to come into a big show like this as a past champion, in probably one of the greatest Arnolds we've ever had, in terms of lineup and strength. But I just don't, if he doesn't get top 4 or top 5, I don't want people to write him off, because the thing is, he feels good. I'm getting a good vibe from him. He feels fresh, but I think if he doesn't look like how he used to look, say when he was getting top 3 at the Olympia, I think just give him a few more months, get him a few more shows under his belt, and give him a chance. He might surprise us all, but one thing I do think, I think he's going to be in condition. So potentially, like say one of the like Dexter, Rollies, whatever, don't come in condition. He could, I think he could definitely place 3rd, 4th, 5th. Yeah. I think more like 5th, 6th is likely, with a view to coming back next year at his all-time best. But I don't want people to, because sometimes bodybuilding fans can be quite fickle and they can be quite cruel.
Yes.
When someone has one bad showing, they injure themselves or something goes wrong with their prep. And I want to see people, because things that I said to Dennis, I said, you've got very supportive fans. And I just hope the other people that are fans of bodybuilding do not write him off, because that was quite a serious thing he went through. And he had a lot of, and mentally and physically it was a very tough thing to come back from. So, and then on the other side, he's had 2 years off. And I said, your body could be fresher. So you don't know. It's like it's a big question mark. And I think as many people are going to be looking at him as, say, Bonac, Dexter, So, I mean, it'd be great to see him up there, like, destroying everyone. But if it doesn't happen, don't write him off.
Got it. So the last guy we're going to talk about in the Open is formerly from the Open, then he went to 212 for a couple of years, won the 212 here 2 years ago, Hidetaka Yamagishi. He's back working with his old coach Milo Sarshev, and I'm thinking he might pull a surprise. I don't know how well he's going to place necessarily, but I think he's going to look better than we've seen him look in a very long time.
I've just been talking to Rowley's brother Quincy, because he was at 212, and I said, "Are you doing 212 again?" He said, "No, I'm doing Open," and he said, "I look my best at 225." Now, see the problem Flex Lewis is having now as a 212, he is going to look better at 225, and I really respect Hide for not kind of playing it safe in the 212. He's come in and you can tell he just wants to be at his best physically, and I think sometimes. He's not playing it safe by just making 212 and then looking really good in the 212. He's jumping in the Open, which the thing is, he's had top 10 at Olympia 3 times?
Yeah, well, at least twice, I know that.
He's had 8th place and stuff, and that was like as a 215, 220 pound competitor. I just want to see Hide looking at his best physically. Where he places, I honestly don't care. I'll still respect him for the fact that he's chosen to take that leap of faith that a lot of other 212 guys, like Jose's tried it, Guy Sistinino's tried it, and everyone wants Flex Lewis to try it. But I just fair play to him.
Yeah, I'm glad you're pointing this out because I think a lot of the fans, they'll just look at the placings. And sometimes they won't even reference the photos or the videos, and they're going to judge a guy by where he placed, not realizing that these are the best of the best. And sometimes the guy that takes last in a show like this can look phenomenal. So we just talked about 212 with Hide. Let's talk about this year's 212. It's a pretty small lineup. It's only 7 guys. Guy Sisternino's in it. He's always good. Before we talk about the top 2 guys, who is this Kamal Elgarni character from the UK?
Yeah, well, he's probably one of the most successful amateur bodybuilders of all time. Now, he turned pro in like 2000, 2003, turned down his pro card because this was before the days of the 212. But I'm telling you, if the 212 had been around then, or 202, he could have been Mr. Olympia. I'm telling you, he was that good. I mean, he's mid-40s now. He's showing me a picture of it. I'll put it up on the forum, a picture of his quads. He's been prepped by Chris Acita. Okay. And he said it's worked really well. Now, he said to me 3 years ago, I interviewed him, and he said, look, I'm going to do one more show, but I'm going to come back as a pro. So he's come back as a pro, and, I've been following him on Instagram and everything, because he's back in the UK now. He lived in Middle East.
Yes,
Qatar it was, yeah. He was working for the Qatar team. And he made a lot of money because he won the World Amateur Championship 6 times. He won the Asian Gold Cup 10 times. Wow. He won the overall as a 90 kilo in the World Championship. And you know what the standard of these World Championships are like?
Yes.
They're like the Arnold Classics. They're huge. I mean, it's World Championships, So he's no slouch. And I tell you what, he's really. I've been chatting a bit to him off camera as well, and it's just really good. And he's kind of like a Mohammed Makawe, beautiful physique, beautiful aesthetics, fantastic poser. I think he's going to shock. I think he's someone who could, sneak in 3rd or 4th. He really is that good if he brings his best.
So it's very, very likely, and this is no disrespect to anybody, that the show is going to come down to 2 men in the 212. We got Jose Raymond, who won this a couple years ago. David Henry, who, in a lot of the minds of people who were here last year, he won last year. But in the end, it was Ahmad Ashkenani, but it was so close last year, so close. It was like splitting hairs. 2 very different physiques. Jose's a tank. I don't think anybody in the 212 packs more muscle per square inch than Jose Raymond. Just tremendously thick, grainy condition, veins up top of veins. Doesn't have the deep muscle separation. This is where David Henry comes in. David does not have as much mass in certain areas that Jose has, like the legs, but he's got more of that round, bubbly shape to his muscles, smaller joints, has more of that deep, crisp muscle separation. So 2 very, very different types of physiques, both tremendous in their own right. So you're sitting there as a judge. What would you do?
I'd just flip a coin. Honestly, that's what I do, because if Dave Henry turns up like he did at the 2016 Olympia, where he was 5th, which was absolute, I had him 2nd. I mean, I had him pushing flex. Yeah. When I got 5th, I was like, what? Last year he was, he got 4th last year at the Olympia in 212, but for me he looked quite flat. But when he's full, he's got that detail, the splinter, it's just insane the way that guy looks. I think he gets judged harshly for his legs. I don't think they're that bad. You know, I mean, he's got, like I said, any physique's got strengths and weaknesses. I don't think his quads are that bad. I mean, they're good from the side, good from the back. You know, he's got good glutes, calves, very deep, hard hamstrings. But Jose, yeah, I mean, Jose's still bringing it. I mean, I had Jose second last year. I had him beating Ashkenani at the Olympia. So, and Jose, you know, with Jose, he's a bit of an open book. You know, he says, yeah, I'm feeling good. You know, he's quite honest, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And he's just sat there. We just interviewed him, and he's so chilled. You know, he's so yeah, I would say two-man race.
Okay. So next thing we're going to talk about, it's the first year that they've added Classic Physique to the Arnold Classic. This is still only the, turn the page. It's still a fairly new division, but we're already seeing some stars emerge. We have the reigning Olympia champion, Breon Ansley, coming in. We've been doing a series of videos with him for MD over the past couple weeks out in LA. He's looking fantastic. None the worse for wear. You'd think coming right back from the Olympia would be difficult, but he bounced right back. He's looking ready to win the first Arnold Classic Physique. But we also have the first Olympia champion of Classic, Danny Hester, coming. Danny's looking pretty amazing. Danny's an old man like me. He's 48. He might even be 49. And we also have the guy who was runner-up to Danny that first year they had it, 2016, Arash Rabar. It's a packed lineup. There's 32 guys, so there's other people in there that could certainly jump in and surprise me. But, you know, the only one missing from the Olympia really is Chris Bumstead. Everybody else from the Olympia pretty much is here. So, you know, he has obviously the advantage coming in as the Olympia champion. But Danny, if he's improved, the old man might make a surprise. You know, are you looking forward to this? What might happen?
Yeah, I like Danny's physique. It was for me, he looks more like a 212 than a Classic. Yeah, Danny Hester, I thought he might have done a little bit better last year at the Olympia, but Breon, I love that guy. That condition for me was the best condition in the whole Olympia. I mean, all I can remember is burned into my mind, my psyche, was his hamstrings. And the separation, like, you know, in his arms, like, you know, like Al Beckles. It was that kind of old school, you know, with the kind of, you know, like the Classic physique was kind of created for those kinds of physiques. And I think without Bumstead there, I think it might be, I don't want to say easy win, but I saw him in the lift actually, and he looks tight, he's lean, you know.
The lift is an elevator, by the way. That's a British thing.
Sorry.
Lift.
Sorry.
Okay, so the last division we're going to talk about, and I'm going to leave this is going to be all Giles. Women's physique. He knows a little bit about it because he's the mate of the Rascal, who's a top women's physique pro. But it looks like a pretty great lineup. I do recognize a lot of these names. So who are we looking at here? First one you're going to talk about is Natalia Quell, who is 21, 22 years old.
She's incredible, but she's been in condition so long.
But this is her first, I believe, is this her first show as a physique competitor? She was figure, right?
No, she's Natalie. No, she's won. She switched to figure last year. Sorry, switched to physique last year.
Okay.
She won a pro show. Because we saw it at the Olympia, didn't we?
This is why I have Giles, because he knows.
No, but
if he left it up to me.
Yeah, she's qualified for. Anyway. Yeah, so she's young. She's, you know, because I remember saying on the forums actually. I was saying to John earlier about how her quads, when she was figure, I said, she was putting her legs together to try and hide the size of her quads. Right. And I said, she needs to move up to physique. And then one of the guys in the forum said, yeah, but if she's just won 2 pro shows, why should she move up? I said, yeah, but if she gets to the Olympia, I said, they're going to mark her down, or they're just not going to call her out, and they're going to say your quads are too big. Yeah. So I said she either needs to downsize them or move up. She's moved up, and like you were saying on the forum, saying, well, I think she could win the Olympia. She's that good, you know. You know, but the thing I worry about with the really young kind of competitors is, you know, when do they know is the limit of muscularity for physique? You know, are they going to turn more looking towards like female bodybuilders? Because there is a criteria for this class. So, but she's incredible because what I saw last year, I don't think she needs to change that, you know. And they do seem to be going more for conditioning, and she does bring good condition. In fact, I've been seeing pictures of her, and Rosie's been showing me pictures of her, and we've actually got pictures of her up in our kitchen on the cupboard where all the rice cakes are kept. We've actually got a picture, so I have to see Natalie's physique every single day when I go to my rice cake. She's
one of those people, if you follow her on social media, she looks like she could be stage ready within a couple weeks all year long. I hate people like that. I don't really hate them, but you know what I mean. Shredded all the time. Who do we got next to talk about?
Well,
here?
obviously Shanique Grant.
Shanique Grant. Delts for days.
Delts for days. Yeah, I mean, Shanique, I've not actually seen Shanique yet on stage. I've seen pictures, obviously, the last couple of years when she won the New York Pro. She pulled out the last two Olympias. You know, she had she pulled out for various reasons. And I'm really excited to see it because, you know, sometimes you can, you know, they can look a certain way, like look too muscular, or they can look like something's photoshopped on the. But yeah, I like to see them in the flesh on stage because I want to see, because there's a lot of hype behind this girl, and again, she's another young girl. When I saw a video of her squatting like 300 pounds for like 6 reps with no spotter, you know, like easy. She's very, very talented. I think she's kind of like really sort of like almost like the next Linda Murray, which is kind of where they wanted to take physique back to.
Yeah.
You know, very similar structure, beautiful shape. I hope that she doesn't get too muscular and outsizes herself out of the physique class. I think she just needs to refine on what she's got because she's kind of like Sydney Gillen in the figure. You can't. It's just like they're just perfection in there. You know, the lines and everything. So yeah, I'm really excited to see her for the first time with my own eyes on stage. And then, you know, you've got another name that's standing out for me is Kira Newman. Now, Kira Newman took second in the Olympia to Malakan, I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
2016, yeah. So she's a runner-up at the Olympia.
Sure.
You know, she slipped down a couple of, you know, still top 10, so still top 10 Olympia in the world. You know, she's got, because I feel very strongly about what I feel should be a women's physique look.
Yes.
You know, there is a criteria of like femininity and symmetry and not, you know, not overdevelopment and stuff like that. And I feel she is one that fits the bill. So, you know, but that is an amazing lineup. And I think that will be the top 3. It's a shame Danny Reardon pulled out. Yeah, so, but obviously these girls are there. So, you know, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a 3-way between those guys.
And, you know, just as a side note, the Arnold Classic Men's Open, Sean Roden was a heavy favorite going in. He had to pull out. That would have made the show just a little bit more exciting. But we have plenty of amazing competitors. I'm not going to say we're not going to miss them. It would have been great to have them in the show. But this is just an amazing lineup across all these divisions. It's going to be a good time, everybody. So make sure you stay right here on musculardevelopment.com. Check out all the coverage, interviews, photos, videos. We've got the live stream. You don't need to go anywhere else. It's all a one-stop shop. So, for musculardevelopment.com and our coverage of the Arnold Classic weekend brought to you by High Tech Pharmaceuticals, this has been Ron Harris with Giles the Tiger Thomas.